And good evening. I'm Jonathan Higgins.
And I'm Rich Carlson.
And believe it or not, we're live in our new home on YouTube. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you do that now. And you also want to hit the little bell. It's a ring notification, so you'll know when we're live and when we post a new video. So if you've liked the Scanner Master Facebook page or subscribe to the Facebook page, this is an entirely different Facebook page. This is basically the Scanner Guys Facebook page. So make sure you do that now. We're excited about our new home right here on YouTube. I know we've gotten a lot of positive messages about us going live. Isn't that right, Rich?
Yeah, we have. A lot of people have said that this might be a great thing for us, and hopefully it'll work much better than Facebook.
Yeah, and we're totally excited about this. I really, I'm really happy that we've moved to, we moved to this, and hopefully everybody else really likes it out there. Um,
Yeah.
we are going through everything, and we're going to get used to this new channel. So bear with us. We may have some growing pains tonight, but we have a great topic of discussion, right, Rich?
Absolutely. SDS200, the good, the bad, and the just plain weird.
Yeah, so we're going to go over all that tonight. So that's going to be certainly an interesting thing to look at. Is the SDS um, 200. I've learned today that we have a little bit of bad news. If you're in the market to buy some of these, there's not a lot of them in stock. Is that right, Rich?
Yeah, it has been such a popular radio the last couple of months with all this crazy nonsense going on, and everybody kind of stuck at home these days. They've been selling like hotcakes, and we are selling them left and right. So we are down to the last few in stock right now. We are expecting more of them at about the same time as the SDS 100s. So hopefully, in a week or so, maybe 10 days or so, we should be restocked on them, and we're kind of crossing our fingers, crossing our toes, and crossing our legs, hoping that we get them back in stock soon and get everybody supplied that wants one.
That is awesome. So I'm looking forward to when we get more of those in. I'm sure you guys are as well. So we're going to go over the radio. We haven't talked about the SDS 200 in quite a while. I mean, it's been out for quite a long time, right, Rich?
Yeah, it's been about a year, a little bit over a year, I think. Came out just yeah, it's been right about a year, a little bit over.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a look at everything tonight with the SDS. So this should be an interesting show. As soon as we're actually in the studio here, we have a brand new setup, so I'm just getting used to getting used to it. Um,
Yeah.
so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off the slideshow this evening. So as Rich mentioned earlier, the Uniden SDS200, the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. So, as always, the Scanner Guys are brought to you by Scanner Master. So, let's continue on with the slideshow. As always, we want to remind you to subscribe to the Scanner Master newsletter, and you can do that by going to scannermaster.com. At the bottom of the website, you'll see there a way to subscribe to our newsletter. We'll send you all types of great things um, in our newsletter uh, regarding all the news and what have you in the scanner world. Also, any sales that we're having, new products. It's a great source and it's free. So, you can't go wrong with free newsletter.
That's the best price.
And also, we're going to take a look at right now the SDS 200, the basics. So, most of you know that the SDS 200 is a base mobile. It's a
Yep.
true IQ scanner, the first scanner with the SDS 100 to incorporate software defined radio technology. What does that all mean, Rich, for someone that's just getting into this hobby?
Instead of an SDR, instead of using traditional radio circuitry, it's all basically computer based, and everything within the radio is adjustable by software and/or firmware. So instead of using a lot of tuned devices and such within the radio, it does all of that through through software and firmware, so that you can make changes on the fly, and it gives you a lot more control over the scanner, and it allows you to add and change features down the road much easier than it would be with the more traditional build radios.
I see. And also, the biggest thing that was the for the release of this radio was the next bullet point, the best performance on simulcast and weak signals. So that certainly has been a blessing for the scanner industry. For a lot of you out there that are in an area where there's a lot of simulcast systems, this addresses a lot of those issues that the other digital radios on the market can't even touch, and also
Oh
improves
yeah.
on the weaker signals. And something that we've been familiar with for several years now, the SDS incorporates the zip code favorites list programming.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the Home Patrol and the BCD 436 and 536s in the past, the SDS 100 and 200 has that same type of zip code programming. Plus, you can actually do the same individual programming that you can with the 996 and 325 type scanners. So it gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an awesome radio. I mean, look at that radio. We're going to go over a little bit more in the next slide about this radio with its overall features. So let's take a look at that. So there's some cool stuff that comes with the radio. Out of the box, it'll work with APCO 25 Phase 1 and Phase 2. It'll work on EDAX, Motorola, and LTR trunking, along with P25 Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yep, and does all the main trunking modes that most police fire agencies use, some of the older ones, the EDAX, LTR, et cetera. And of course, all the standard narrowband FM, wideband FM, standard FM, FM broadcast, and AM for aircraft and such. So if people get a lot of people get confused over the four different type of FMs that you might see in a scanner. So those are basically narrowband FM, which is what most two-way radio traffic uses these days. Standard FM, which is the old version of the two-way radio, and that's still used on things like low band, GMRS, a lot of ham stuff, marine channels. And then FM broadcast, which is obviously like FM, broadcast stations.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of some of the things that we've seen on a lot of the radios that have been out, a lot of the digital radios. Some of the added options on the added options side is the DMR and then Mobo Turbo, Next Edge or NXDN and Pro Voice. Those are the added options over there on the right side of the screen. And those are added options that basically keeps the price down, and
Mm-hmm.
you can pick and choose what you want. You may not need any of those, so you don't need to spend the money. You may need one of them, or you may need two of them, or you may need all three, depending on where you're at. So
Yeah.
you decide what you spend on these added options. And as we've talked about many times during these Facebook Lives, is you have to take a look at your area, see what's available, and see what format you need. The other reason why they're added options is because Uniden, when setting these digital formats up on the scanners, there's licensing fees and all that, right, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't need that format, then don't waste your money on it. And the reason that Uniden pays extra for these formats is they have to pay the license holders for every radio they sell with that. So this way they can sell an SDS 200 and not have to pay that licensing fee if you don't buy that particular mode for your radio. The mode is actually in the radio. You just have to enable it with a product code. And once you do that, it'll work. And then Uniden takes a little cut out of that, and the majority of that goes to whoever owns that particular license for the mode that you've selected.
Very interesting. So we'll continue on with the slideshow here. Some cool stuff with the SDS 200. As we already mentioned, the true IQ receiver technology that provides the best digital decoding and performance in the scanner industry. The thing that Rich raves about on this radio is the next bullet point, the 3.5-inch customizable colored display.
That is awesome. The fact that you can change anything anywhere on the display is just fantastic. And if you don't like the way it is, you can change it. And you can spend hours changing it. Just make sure you save it once in a while.
That's for sure, because you can do a lot of cool stuff with that. And the other benefit to this radio as well is the optional GPS dongle does not require any external power, which is a
Yep.
huge
It's
benefit because a lot of the other radios require, a cigarette lighter adapter free and available for it, along with power in your radio.
yeah. Yeah, it makes things a lot. This has got the most simple way of connecting the GPS to it. One wire goes to the back of the radio, the other wire goes to a little box about the size of a matchbook, and you just toss that on top of the dashboard. Really simple. There's no big mess of wires all over the place. You got one piece of wire going from the radio up to the box, and that's it. You don't have to have a separate power cord for the GPS like all the other radios. It's a lot simpler, and I wish all the scanners had that.
That's for sure. Me too. Especially the Home Patrol 1 and 2, because it
Mhm.
just becomes, a mess of wires in between, having the power of that GPS and the whole 9 yards. It just becomes a mess. Some of the cool stuff that you know about, I mean, that you become accustomed to with the Uniden products, is the fire tone out alert. A lot of people do use that. They'll put their radio in
Mhm.
standby and have it act as a fire pager. The
Yep.
soft keys for intelligent UI. Those are those keys that are down the bottom of your screen. Those are really neat. The first radio that we saw, those buttons down the bottom, is these radios. I mean, you see it a lot of times on two-way radios,
Yep.
where you have, an option that pertains to the the item that's on the screen. I mean, that's a great feature. I'm happy that Uniden really picked that up.
Yeah, the user interface to this radio is remarkable, and it's a little bit different than the other radios just because of those soft buttons. And the uh, use of those buttons can change depending on the context, and it's kind of neat. The normal use of them is just like the 436 and the 536 normally, but it can change depending on the context, which is kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, it totally is. The next bullet point, which Rich, you and I both know about, is the close call feature. How handy is that?
It is awesome. In fact, I keep a scanner in the car only for close call, and I have one of the radios in my rack here that all it does is close call. It's one of my favorite features. A great way to find new channels and stuff that you didn't even know existed.
And then
And then
oh, go ahead, Rich.
the do not disturb part of that allows you to listen to close call without getting that annoying dropout every couple seconds. So when the radio is talking, it won't do close call until that particular conversation is over from your normal scanning. And then in between transmissions, it'll check for close call operations. So you don't get that annoying breakup every couple seconds.
Yes, that breaking up of the radio transmission can be a bit pesky. The
Yeah.
last but not least option, which several of the Uniden radios have had this in the past models, is the channel volume offset, which is really handy, especially since a lot of agencies went from FM to FM narrow, so the audio was a little bit lower coming off the repeater. So, and then
Yeah.
you're literally playing up and down on your radio with the volume. You have some agencies that are screaming loud, and some of them are very soft and quiet. So
Yeah.
you can do a channel offset for each channel in the radio. This allows you to go into the menu option under that particular channel, increase it up to 3 notches, or decrease it 3 notches. So that's a great feature on this radio, which is on many of the Uniden radios over the last several years.
Yeah, and that's great. If you got one channel that's always really loud or one channel that's always real soft, you can kind of adjust it, and it is a neat feature, and it does really help the scanning experience.
It certainly does. Let's continue on with our slideshow this evening. In case you're just joining us, we are live on YouTube tonight, and this is going to be probably our new home for our broadcast. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a beat on the Scanner Guys YouTube channel. Now, a lot of times we get questions over the phone all the time, Rich. What is in the box? And here's a lengthy list of what's in the box. So, of course, the typical suspects: an AC adapter, the three wired DC cord, and then it also has the mounting bracket, or it can be used as a desk stand. It has those little rubber feet, the telescoping antenna, the owner's manual, and of course, the very important thing, the USB micro cable for updates and programming, which you would use with the free Sentinel software, or you would also use that cable with the paid software, which is from Butel.
Right. Yeah, and it does use a different cable than some of the other radios. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But it does obviously come with the cable that you need. So if you've got a Windows PC, you can do the programming, you don't need to buy anything extra.
Yeah, which is great. You just have to make sure you don't lose the cable, Rich, because
Yeah.
that's key. You lose that cable, you're up the creek. But there's other ways you can program this radio by removing the little SD card and putting in an SD
Yep.
card reader. So there is a workaround.
I worked with a customer on that exact project today. He lost the cable, couldn't find it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't program it." I said, "You have a card reader?" Yeah. Pop the card out, put it in the card reader, do the programming, put it back in the radio. He's like, "Oh, I never thought of that. What's a great idea?"
Yes, not a good thing. Like if you don't have any options, you have plenty of options
Yeah.
with this radio. So now we are into the segment of Now for the Bad. So, Rich, you want to cover some of this issues with hum?
Yeah. So the biggest issue that we've had with the SDS 200 has been the noise, the hum that comes in the background on some radios. Not all of them, but a good number of them. And they figured out why it's happening. And what it is, there's a bad ground in between a couple of the parts on some of the radios. And they have two things they did to work around that. The first one is with a little noise, they call it the noise mitigation part. It's a little piece of metal that's folded. It's about the size of a postage stamp. And what you do is you take the case off the radio and you stick it in between two specific pieces of metal in the radio and put the radio back together. And that improves the ground where the ground is not as good as it should be. That the radios that we have now already have that part installed in them, so you don't have to worry about that. The second part, and admittedly probably the most important, is on the later firmware versions. It actually cuts the audio out when the radio is not talking, and that's when people are hearing the hum. Is when the radio isn't hearing any traffic, and then when the radio starts hearing traffic, it then puts the audio back in. And if your radio does have the hum, you'll never hear it. So between the firmware and that hum mitigation part, it pretty much takes care of the issue. Now, there are some people who dug a little bit deeper, literally, and took the radio apart and went well beyond putting that little hum mitigation part. And they scraped off some of the insulation on a certain section of the board and reassembled the radio. And that also improves the grounding and gets rid of the hum altogether. The problem with that is number one, it's going to be kind of difficult to do, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could cause issues. And number two, if you do that, it's a good chance you're going to avoid your warranty. So if you just add the mitigation part, and if you don't already have it, and update your firmware, uh, you'll be fine.
I see. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind there with um, with that. You don't want to if you're not if you're not comfortable, don't open up that radio and do that.
Yeah. Now, like again, if you bought the radio within the last 6 or 8 months, you already have that part in it, so you really don't have to worry about it. If you want to check to see if it's in there, you just take the four screws off the back of the black case, and then take the two screws off the top case, and you'll see a little square piece in there. But if you're not comfortable doing it, just leave it as. If you bought the radio recently, it's already there,
I see.
and just update your firmware.
Update the firmware. That's definitely key to be able to make sure that you have the latest and greatest firmware to keep your radio running.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely an important thing. So let's continue on with the slideshow here. Now, the other thing, some people are a little upset about cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's $700. Um, well, $699.99.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta save that extra penny. Yeah, it's an expensive radio. Um, we do have free shipping on that anywhere in the 48 continental United States. Um, but that'll help a little bit. If you're in one of the half a dozen states or so that we have to charge sales tax, then you have to pay sales tax. But otherwise, for $700, it's a lot of money. It's very expensive. Whether or not it's worth it, that's totally up to you. Um, the main competition for the SDS radios is the Unication G5 portable pager. And while that's a great radio, it's nowhere near as flexible as the SDS100 or SDS200. You can't do any type of field programming, and any changes you make has to be done by computer. This with the SDSs, you can do a lot of the programming changes or just operational changes right from the keyboard of the radio, and it's much more flexible. And it works almost as well, or if not as well, as the Unication.
Totally. So that's definitely things to keep in mind. I mean, the Unication radio is definitely a pretty decent unit, but it's not a true scanner.
Right.
That's the major issue with that. It's not a true scanner, so you're not able to do all the flexible things that you can do with an actual scanner like the SDS 100 and 200. Yeah, they are expensive, but a lot of people will say they're worth every penny because just the issues addressed with the simulcast, and it's a little bit more sensitive on those weaker signals. So there's certainly a lot of benefits of getting the SDS 100 and 200.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, really are the best scanner out there when it comes to simulcast and weak signal stuff. Whether or not they're the best radio is up to you. We pretty much think they are, just because you can pretty much do anything you want with them.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's definitely an awesome radio to keep in mind. And let's take a look at our next slide here. Let's pull that up. So as we hinted earlier in the broadcast, availability is quite limited right now, or depleted on the SDS 100 and 200. So it's basically due to the popularity of the two radios has been pretty thin, and also this has been like some of the distribution chain has been interrupted because of COVID-19. The other thing too that really created some issues is a lot more people at home. They're bored. They may have been waiting to push the trigger on purchasing the radio, and they decided, well, I'm going to be home, working from home, or I may be spending more time home. Maybe I should just buy it, and then I can relieve some of my boredom. And
Yeah.
that certainly is a huge help. As posted here, the price is going to stay the same. Suppliers are expecting to get them within 2 weeks or so. So hopefully we'll be getting some more of those in. It's certainly a popular
Yeah.
radio, that's for sure. Rich, and tell me a little bit about your favorite features with the SDS 100 and 200.
Well, obviously the performance is king. I live in an area that's heavily uses simulcast, and there are no radios that work better than the SDS 100 and 200 on simulcast. I've also noticed on some non-simulcast systems, I'm able to hear trunking sites that I never heard before from here. Just because of the SDS, it works so much better. So the performance of the SDSs are fantastic. Uh, the capabilities are, it does everything basically a scanner can do. I don't think there's anything on that radio that any other scanner has that you can't do it on the SDS. Plus that display is just, oh man, it's just so awesome. And I go in there and I change things once in a while just for the heck of it, because I like to change things, obviously. And the fact that you can easily change the positioning, the colors, and whether or not something even actually displays on the screen is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it certainly is a phenomenal radio to be able to do a lot of customization. Like you said, I've been using my SDS 100. Like around the house. I've used it. If I've gone off somewhere, and I need to run off of batteries. Certainly a great unit. The 200, right now I have it in the vehicle, and I'm scanning the railroad frequencies, and it works great. I've
Yeah.
noticed that I'm getting really good distance on the radio. When I was scanning some of the digital systems here in the Carolinas, it works great on that as well. The audio quality is superb. I mean, it's probably some of the best digital that I've heard.
Yep.
On a digital scanner. I remember, way back when the first radios would pick up digital scanner wise, and there was a lot of growing pains. There was a lot of, it would break up, they would be hiccuping, decoding issues.
Oh, all those adjustments you had to make, and
Yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, they've came a long way. So we mentioned at the beginning of our broadcast, we're going to cover the good, the bad, and now it's time to look at the plain old weird of the radio. So,
And there are a few things
so
there.
let's pull up that slide, Rich, and let's take a look at some of the weird things.
Yeah.
And Rich, so the first one here.
That it, oh, that's just so aggravating. And when we first got our first SDSs, we complained about it to the bosses, and unfortunately, it was by that time it was too late to change it. So if you have the SDS connected to your network through an Ethernet port, it's very easy to plug it in. It's almost impossible to unplug your Ethernet port without tools.
Yes.
And oh, I have a letter opener that I use and I keep handy just so I can unplug the Ethernet cable from the Ethernet port. They put it in with the release tab up and right up against the volume control. And I mean, I've got humongous fingers, and even my wife has got tiny fingers and actually has fingernails. She can't get it off unplug that thing. So yeah, you need a pocket knife or letter opener or something small and pointed to push down on that release latch on your Ethernet cable to get it unlocked. Ugh, drives me nuts.
Yeah, that was one of the things, and they basically said, "Look, we've already engineered the inside guts. We're not able to flip those around." And we are like, "Oh, all right." I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
one of those things. And the other
Yep.
thing, which was another weird one, is if you look at the SDS, they went from using the mic, they were using the mini USB for all the other radios, and
Yep.
they decided to use the micro.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just because it's a newer port or it's going to be more of a standard down the road, but it's the first scanner that has a micro USB port instead of the more common, at least on scanners, the mini USB. I know a lot of cell phones. If I'm an iPhone guy, so I don't worry about that. But if you've got Androids, apparently they use that micro USB port, and it might be a more superior cable. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it's different than all the other scanners. So now I have to keep two cables on my desk instead of one.
Yeah, what a hassle. I mean, the great thing about it is all the other radios take the mini USB, so you just grab one of those cables, you can plug into
Yeah.
to your 996 P2 or your 325 P2 or your 436 or your 536 or the Home Patrol 1 or the Home Patrol 2. I mean, you literally could
Yeah,
just go all over the place.
yeah. Even your Whistler
Yeah.
scanners, it's all the same cable except for this one.
Yes, this one had to be unique and different.
Yeah,
And then there's some crazy jacks that we still
yeah,
don't know. Well, actually, when we were beta testing, we found out that the USB jack, if you had your Home Patrol 2, you could plug it into that, and then the SDS200 could power the Home
yeah.
Patrol 2.
Yeah, that's that USB-A port on the
Yeah.
front. You can use that. I actually have a little LED desk light that uses USB for power, and for a while I had it plugged in there because I didn't have a handy USB port, so I had my desk light plugged in there.
Yeah, you probably
So
could charge your phone with it. I mean,
yeah,
it's just,
yeah,
we still don't know what that's for. I mean, it's there, but we don't know
yeah.
why it's there. Uh,
Now, do you still have the little rubber cover on yours,
yeah,
or did you?
I left that on.
Yeah,
You know, I,
I lost mine. I have no idea where it's
I, I
at.
don't, the jack doesn't have any purpose for me, so I just left the little rubber thing on there. So I left it
Yeah.
alone. And another point, a lot of people wonder why the light control for the three-wire connection is still in the box.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who has actually ever used that third wire on that three-wire power cord for lighting control. I've never used it in any of my vehicles, on any of my Uniden scanners, and that dates all the way back to the PCT 15, the 996T. And I don't know anybody who's ever used that wire to actually control. So a lot of people think that is a turn-on lead for ignition sense and such. No, that orange wire and that three-wire power cable, you're supposed to hook that into one of the lights on the dashboard of your car. And when you turn the lights brighter on your dashboard, it's supposed to brighten the display on the scanner. And I don't know anybody who's ever actually used that, but it's there. And then on the back of the radio, there's another USB micro port that nobody knows what that's going to be for.
Yeah, there's so many strange and unique things with this radio. It's interesting. I think they actually have some purpose for some of these jacks. They just haven't been released, or they're going to be something in the future. Who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, it's just going to be right now. It's going to stay on the weird list, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think that extra USB micro port on the back of the SDS200 and on the side of the SDS100, I think eventually those will probably be used for something that with the SDR. That's the only thing I can think of. Or maybe they were used to load the initial firmware or something. But there's got to be a point, or they wouldn't have spent the engineering time and money to put it in there. But you can only guess at this point what any of those extra two ports are going to be.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we'll continue on with the slideshow here. Let me just, for whatever reason, I got to click down here. Um, it's a little growing pains because we're using a brand new system here in the North Carolina studio. Further
Yeah,
developments. As most of you are aware, the Uniden's scanner division product manager, Paul Obitz, passed away. He was the driving force of many of the innovations in the scanner technology. While his successor hasn't been named yet, others of the company are handling the scanner line for now. Uniden continues developing updates and firmware for its Uniden product lines, including the SDS100 and 200. So the beat still goes on
yeah,
for Uniden as of right now.
yeah. And again, since they really haven't named his successor, but they are still working on engineering and such. And between the passing of Paul and the disruptions caused by the coronavirus or COVID-19 or whatever it's being called this month, that stuff continues. So that's going to delay a lot of this stuff, but they have not abandoned the scanner line and specifically the SDSs. They have not discontinued any of the other radios. It's just right now things are kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern, and they're going to get back on track with further developments and updates to the firmware. Thankfully, most of the bugs and such have been pretty well taken care of with the firmware versions that we have now. And any future ones will most likely be for any new bugs or feature enhancements that might come up in the future.
That's for sure. So let's see here. So last week we had a really cool broadcast
Yeah.
where we covered a lot of cool stuff. We've always wanted to do a food show, so we ended up doing a food show. We shared some of your shacks and some of your stupid scanner tricks. We had a late addition to provide an add-on basically onto our show last week, and one of our loyal viewers, Carmen, sent us an email with some photos. Let's take a look at them right now, Rich.
One of my favorite places in the world.
Yes, when it comes to food, and there's Vito right there, Vito's Pizza. Looks like Carmen got 2 slices there of cheese, and that's a photo of
Yep.
the outside of Vito's Pizza. So that's located right in Crescent, PA, and right in front of there is the Pittsburgh main line for Norfolk
Yep.
Southern. So great place. If you're in the area doing some rail fanning, looking for someplace to eat, make sure you say hello to Vito at Vito's Pizza.
Yeah, awesome pizza. We went there when you and I were at the Curve, and we stopped in the Crescent specifically to go to Vito's, and we sat in a table with a view of the tracks. People are looking at us like, "Why are you two sitting together instead of across from each other?" I think they figured out when we got up and watched the train when we kind of, "Wow, here comes a train."
Yep, yeah,
So,
that's for sure. I mean, it's a great thing. I mean, food and rail fanning is such a great combination, and
oh yeah,
spending time with your buddies, watching trains, having a good conversation, taking photos, even chasing some heritage units is always a good time.
yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the best train watching areas of the country, right there, and between Altoona and Crescent. You can't get it much better than that.
And who could forget Sheets? I mentioned that. Looks like he's also a fan as well, Carmen. He likes to go to Sheets. Believe it or not, it's a gas station. Phenomenal food. Great prices. You can eat cheap and have great food. And it's made to order. You're not going to get a soggy sandwich or a pizza that's overcooked. It's made to order, which is great. And
Yeah, I mean, it's like restaurant food at a gas station, and it's good stuff, you know.
yeah, definitely good stuff. And Carmen shared his love of Sheets as well. The other thing too that you want to keep in mind is if you do have a Sheets in your area, get the Sheets card. They have their loyalty card. Not only will you be able to earn points for things, you also will get 3 cents off a gallon each time you fill up. So yeah, granted it's 3 cents, but still it adds up after a while. And if you
Yeah,
frequently go to the Altoona area, definitely pick up one of those cards because you may be able to rack up enough points to get a free sandwich or a free drink. I mean, it all adds up, especially in this day and age where where some of
yeah,
us are on a tight budget. So being able to being able to rail fan is not an expensive hobby, just a little bit of gas and get some food and you're good to go.
yeah, absolutely. And nowadays, gas is so cheap that 3 cents is like going to be, it's like 2% nowadays. So it actually is going to make a pretty good difference. And I don't know what the gas prices are by you, but they've gone down almost by half.
Yeah, we're averaging about $1.70, which I haven't seen those prices in years. Um,
Yeah.
actually we got because my I mean, it's just fantastic, to be able to, to be able to not cringe when you're filling up, your gas tank, thinking it's
Yeah.
going to be, 40, 50, 60, depending on how big your tank is.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, when I drove a truck across country a couple of years back when I was out moving my mom, uh, I stopped at the gas station and we spent $180 on gas for that truck. It's like, oh man.
so crazy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone to YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We know that the live chat is disabled for whatever reason. We're going to look into that, find out what's going on with that. But we are excited about this move. I mean, a lot of people have voiced their opinion. They're against Facebook and they don't want to have a Facebook account to watch us. So we're trying out YouTube. The other great thing is if you have Apple TV or Hulu, you can watch us. I don't know if you'd want to, but you could watch us on your big screen TV. And
Yep.
the other thing too is you'll be able to watch our videos after on YouTube as well. So if you miss a show, you can watch it through YouTube. As soon as we have the chat comment figured out, you'll be able to comment live as you did through YouTube, not YouTube, but Facebook, I should say. So this is really exciting. We want to definitely grow this audience. Show us the love by hitting the subscribe button. That's letting us know that you're really down for us being on YouTube. We want to see if you guys really like it. It's certainly, YouTube is video, and this is probably one of the best platforms to do video.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've already seen some comments from some people who sent me some texts that the video quality and the voice quality is much better on YouTube than it was on Facebook. And like I say, once we get the chat thing figured out, we'll go back to that format again. And again, we're going to have to adjust the audio levels here and there a little bit. We get that, but it will get much better as it did when we were on Facebook. As we got going with Facebook, it got better until their servers had issues.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we are adjusting everything. I'm actually the studio's a little bit different tonight. I'm running on a new, different computer tonight, so
Yep.
we're trying that out as well. But we want to make sure that we remind you of a couple of things. Um, Stupid scanner tricks. We love that show doing that and seeing shack photos. We want to see more of
Yeah.
that. So definitely email us your stupid scanner tricks or your shack photos. And this is how you do it. I'm going to put up a link not the link, but the slide. The stupid scanner tricks, you want to send them to us and your shack photos. Email them thescannerguys at gmail.com. Thescannerguys at gmail.com. Keep in mind, we don't monitor this email 24/7. So if you have questions regarding scanners or something that we're not able to get to during a live broadcast, you want to make sure that you email it to the Scannermaster email address, which is support@scannermaster.com. That's support@scannermaster.com. And if you're not an email user, you're not crazy about doing that, you can always give Scannermaster a call. They're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The telephone number is 1 800 722 6637. That number again is 1 800 722 6637. You can shop them 24/7 at scannermaster.com. And as always, they are a sponsor of the Scanner Guys. So when you purchase from Scanner Master, you're supporting a program like this, the Scanner Guys. Next week's show, we actually do have a topic, Rich. I didn't happen to hit refresh on this. And what is that topic?
Ah. Oh, the topic is going to be the BCD 996P2 and the BCD 325P2, kind of a back to basics scanners. So my buddy Dale from Montana wanted us to talk about these. So we will, and we're going to talk about these. Probably the best non-zip code scanners you can get.
Yes, that's for sure. And they're at a great price. That's another thing, too, is they're at a great price. And as
Mm-hmm.
always, I want to mention, the Train Aficionado blog, which is my blog. Make sure that you like and subscribe and follow the social media for Train Aficionado on Facebook and Instagram at Train Aficionado, and then Rail Aficionado on Twitter. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to do some rail fanning, post some pictures, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. We need to update this slide because now the scanner guys have YouTube. So you want to make sure that you
Yep.
hit that subscribe button on the page right now if you're watching. If you're watching this on the replay, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss a single broadcast. And don't forget our friends over at Scannermaster. You want to like, follow, and subscribe to their stuff as too on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Always great stuff going on over there as well. So we are, I think that wraps it up for our slideshow
Yeah.
presentation. So anything else going on in the scanner industry, Rich, that we can share this week?
Well, I was talking to a buddy of mine today. I told him all about the SDS 300 and the SDS 400, which are coming out next week. And then I reminded him that I'm sorry, it's a COVID-19. April Fool's Day was about a month and a half late.
Yes, so you're making up for
Um,
it for this month. Boy, I'm
yeah,
wondering what those models would have. I mean, really, Uniden has put the bar up pretty high. With some of the features there. Of course, everybody's wanting a remote head.
yeah.
Bluetooth capability. What are the other things that are rolling around on anytime this comes up as discussion on our sister website there, radioreference.com,
Yeah.
with our friends over there? There's a lot of people posting, oh, I wish it would have this. I wish it would have that.
Yeah, I think the big ones are the remote head and Bluetooth. And I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't come down the road at some point. We have no inside knowledge that it is, but that would be kind of the logical path for this. And again, with the extra ports on these radios, they could be used for something. Who knows what they're going to be used for? And there's just a lot of different things. Maybe that would be a good show topic. Future potential scanners.
Yeah, what's on the wish list?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I did see a couple things when we did the. I wish I would have seen this. This would have been great for our last week. The stupid scanner tricks. There was a guy on radio reference, and I forget who it was, but I got to give this guy a shout out. He actually, since he uses his SD card slot on his SDS 200 all the time, he's taking the card in and out. He actually had a cable that plugs into the SD card slot, and it's kind of like an extension cable for the SD card. So he can take the SD card out, in and out, without having to without possibly damaging the slot on his radio. So since he takes it in and out all the time, it's much easier to do it off of that little device. And I thought that was such a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have came up with a lot of cool things over the years with their scanners, whether it be mounts or antenna configurations or
Oh yeah.
just simple things that why it's one of those things. Why didn't I think of that type of thing?
Oh
And
yeah.
we're always looking for that. And I want to share this one more time. The stupid scanner tricks and the shack photos. Send us those photos. Send us. We want to see your shack. We would love to see it. No shack is too small or too big. We want to see, your setup, even if it's a simple setup with a couple of radios and a comfy chair where you listen. We would love to see that. Even some of your antenna configurations. If you got one antenna or a couple antennas, we would love to see that as
Yeah.
well. You can email those at thescannerguys@gmail.com, and you can get your 15 seconds of fame right here on the Scanner Guys. I mean, that's something that's totally could happen. We're going to start sharing those more often as the segment becomes more popular. It could become a weekly thing on the Scanner Guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no greater flattery than uh, uh, the whole saying just popped out of my head. What is it? Copying is like the greatest, sincerest form of flattery type of thing.
Yeah,
Everything I've done with my shack, I've seen somebody else do it, and I just made that my own. And that's the great thing to do is take a look. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That's what I was trying to say. And look at somebody else's shack and get ideas from them. And if you like that idea, adopt it as your own and make it work for you. And like I've done here is everything that I've seen that I've done on my shack. I've seen other people do it, maybe not quite to the scale, but it's I'm not doing anything new, and I've seen other people do it. And there's been a few people that I've copied a lot of good stuff from, and got to give them full credit for that.
that's for sure. You definitely do. You find a lot of things, and the biggest thing is radio reference is being able
Mm-hmm.
to
You can view the different different shacks there and such, but like I say, if you see something you like on one of the ones that we share, copy it and do it yourself
yeah, that's for
and send us a
sure.
picture of it.
Yeah, we would love to see. I'd love to see that.
Mm-hmm. And anything else that anything else that if you have any good ideas, um, uh, the portable radio rack that we sell that you can hold two, three, or four portable radios on that, and if you have a way to make that better, let us know.
Yeah, we would totally love to see any of your shack setups. We'd love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that we should include in the broadcast?
Well, I think we're pretty good there. Like I say, we're going to be talking about the 996 and the 325s next week. They are the premier non-zip code scanners out there. They do phase 1 and 2, so we'll talk all about them, what you can do with them, how you can leverage the radio reference database and still program them with that, and different types of accessories that make your life a lot easier with them. So that should be a great show next week. And those are great scanners. I use those quite often.
I totally agree. I mean, they are great scanners, and I would not discount them at all. I mean, one of the favorite ones. We're not covering this next week, but one of the favorite ones that we mentioned is the 15X. That's still a viable radio. I mean, it's great for someone that's looking for a radio that's got analog conventional and analog trunking that has alpha tagging. A
Yeah.
lot of folks, they may be in an area where there's analog conventional, and they love the feature of being able to have that alpha tag display, but not the big price tag of the digital radios. I mean, a lot of rail
Yeah.
fans love using the 15X. The other thing too with it, it's perfect for if you're going to set up a railroad feed on
Hmm.
Broadcastify. It's got that record jack in the back, so you don't have to worry about
Yep.
the volume adjustment. It's already preset through there. I mean, there's a lot of great things. A lot of great things right there.
Yeah. I got a batch of them in my rack behind me, and they are great on aviation and they're great on railroads. So, and for the price, you can't beat it.
And that's for sure. What I was thinking is, what we could do is we could wrap up the show this evening, and we may pop back onto YouTube Live. I think I see what the issue is with the live chat. So if we're able
Okay.
to look at that, we may be able to pop back on to YouTube Live this evening for an abbreviated, Ask the Scanner guys.
Sure.
So we maybe, if that's all right with you, Rich.
Good with me.
All right. So what we're going to do is going to wrap up the show. We thank you so much for joining us this evening on YouTube, and we talked about the SDS200. Hopefully you found this interesting, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this. Once again, I'm Jonathan Higgins.
And I'm Rich
And
Carlson.
we hope that if we don't speak to you again tonight, we hope you have a safe and great rest of your week. We will catch you again next week where we're talking about some really cool Uniden radios, the 325P2 and the 996P2, both Uniden Bearcats.
You got it. See you then.
See you then. Have a great one.
Bye now.